Hello and welcome to another episode of The Aftermath. My name is Ian.
Hey, how's it going?
Dylan.
There's Dylan over there.
Hey, it's me. I'm here.
Ethan as well.
I ain't dead yet, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
Not for lack of trying.
I told, again, so I've been getting some questions about this.
Oh.
I told you guys last episode that I would talk about me getting stuck in a ditch. And I was going to make good by that, and I'm going to tell you about the story.
Okay, wait. You said you got questions. Let me try and answer it.
No, I don't have questions. People are questioning me
Let me try and...
we talked about it briefly at
Who
this.
is questioning you?
We got briefly at the start of the last episode. We talked about it for a minute, and you're like, you should go into detail about that. And I was like, because that's a good story. And then I was like,
okay.
Not here, not now, because we had a long episode ahead of us because it was the Back to the Future special.
Yeah.
Well,
So to answer their question before them, I'm going to call it the Siege of Constantinople in 1453. That's the answer to their question. Let's move on.
I thought you were going to call the events that I got stuck in the ditch that. I was like, that's actually kind of legit.
No,
Yeah, dude, you got caught up in the siege.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I think it's
Once upon a time.
Yeah, it's the Siege of Constantinople. Yeah, 1453 circa. I like whenever people say like, "Oh, I have a question." I try to answer it first.
Yes,
but I always answer with some,
anyways,
just like off the wall history fact.
Needless to say,
Question. No.
I was. It was really late one night, and I was dropping my girlfriend off back at her house, and her road is very narrow, and I was trying to turn around because I didn't see a driveway around, and in the process of that, my two back tires slipped off into the ditch and got really stuck.
Freaking bye.
And it's like if you've ever been in a car, and you can feel when the tires move a certain way that you're like, oh yeah, I'm hella stuck now.
The way you're explaining this, it feels like it could be a euphemism for something.
No, it's definitely
hey man,
not.
Your back two wheels ever slipped off, you know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
I know mine have. Back to it.
I hate both of you guys so much.
It's okay. That euphemism does not have any meaning yet. We just have to pick one for it now.
So regardless,
to everyone else.
It happened just so that I was like, I'm so stuck, and it was way late at night, and I was like, okay, this sucks. But I didn't know this. Whenever I put my car in park, the doors unlock. Whenever I put my car in drive, the doors lock. So what I was going to do was...
That's a surprise tool that will help us later.
Yes, this is a surprise that will help us later. So
I mean hurt.
I put the car in neutral to try and check the damage and see if I couldn't give it a good push, a good old try, well, in the process of me trying to get to neutral, I hit drive and then just bumped it straight up into neutral. And I was placed just so at an angle that when I got out my truck to go check the damage and all that kind of stuff, the door just ever so slightly closed. And it wasn't like a
it's worth mentioning. It's heckin' windy.
And it's cold. At that night it was closed, and it had just pushed the door closed, and it wasn't one of those half-hearted half closed, where you can possibly get it open still.
It was a big wham.
It was one of those it closed it just enough, boom, closed it.
Yep.
Again, in the moment, didn't think anything of it.
It's
well,
it's fine. I got me.
I was wearing pants that had any pockets on them. They're pajama pants type things.
Yeah.
So I just had my wallet, my keys, and my phone.
Therein lies your fall.
Yes, in my center console, because I was like, I'm just dropping her off. I'm going to turn back around. I'm going to go home. No big deal. But I had my driver's license, my keys, my phone. So everything was legal, obviously. But I didn't know that whenever that happened, as I get out the car and, of course, the door closes, I'm like, it is late at night.
You fall to your knees in your pocketless folly.
I did not fall to my knees, but
you
I
screamed
sat there.
For you are lost.
And I got so frustrated. And I went through all the stages of grief where I was there was a denial stage. There was, sadness or rage or one of those.
It's worth mentioning that one of those stages of grief is the call Ethan stage. That happened.
No. That was the plan stage. That was after.
No, that's after acceptance.
That was after acceptance. I accepted my fate, and I sat there in the cold, and I was like, and Nina, mind you, I didn't turn the truck off either. So the truck is running with the keys in the ignition, my house keys in the console, with my wallet and my phone. And I was sitting there like,
I am helpless.
Please just
seek help.
Please open. Please.
Imagine
just
someone
open.
steals your wallet, keys, and phone, and then while your car's running, they just lock all the doors. That's exactly what happened.
Yes. So needless to say, I was able to walk over to my girlfriend's house and then knock on the door and say, hey, can I borrow your phone? She's like, I thought you went home. And I was like, nope, definitely not. I was sitting there.
Well, you see, I tried.
I was sitting there at my door, and then I have like a little mount, like a little dash mount that I have my phone sitting in for like my music and stuff, or for maps or whatever.
Little do you know,
and so
a neighbor sees you outside yanking vigorously on the door handle, screeching.
And calls the police.
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't loud. It wasn't happening. I was trying to open the door, and I was just like sitting there, like, please, just open, just please. And I look into my window, and I see my phone staring right back at me on my little mount, and it sits there, and then I just got a text message from my girlfriend that says,
it laughs.
No, a text message from my girlfriend that just says, let me know when you get home. When you're
that's
safe.
the laugh.
And then I sat there, and I was just like, that's not going to happen.
It may have well just said, lol, your phone's like
get fucked.
Yeah, right.
So,
get hacked, poser.
But needless to say, this whole escapade lasted well into the morning of trying to get my truck out. Police were called to try and remove my vehicle because one of the neighbors thought that I was just going to leave it there for some reason. In the process of trying to get to my brother, to try and get spare keys, to get into the truck, to then try to get my truck out, but then there was miscommunication.
So
that
miscommunication was hilarious. I got 6 missed calls from his girlfriend.
Yes.
Because it's worth mentioning
in her defense, she was like, I know he was probably pissed off at me, but I just wanted Ian to know, and I wanted to get in touch with him to say like your car's about to get towed. I need help.
No,
like, what's
I get
going
it.
on?
I was just in the shower because it's no use after I've done all that to try and go to bed at 5 a.m. Try to go to bed at 5 a.m. against it was just no use. Whenever I'm awake at 5 a.m. for work, my body just hardwires to just stay awake. And I was like, shower time. So I just took a shower. The problem is I need to plug my phone in, so I just left it plugged into my computer and didn't do it.
It turned out to be like at least a 5-hour endeavor that lasted well into the wee hours of the morning. But the best part, like the kicker, was I had like so much work to get done for my other job, and then I had to be. So from like I had so much editing to do for my second job I always talk about, and then I had to clock in at my first job like about like 11 o'clock or noon. So I was like, by the time everything got settled and the dust was cleared, and I had my car and Ethan had his car, and we're all
there was 8 hours of work done with 3 hours left.
Everything was peachy keen, and I'm sitting there like, I have so much to do. I'm hungry. I need to shower. I have so much editing and work to get done. And then on top of all that as well, I was like, sleep's a nice thing. But I was like, but what's more important out of those? And I was like, I just need sleep right now because I didn't sleep at all. And I was like, so I laid down, passed out, and I felt great.
Look at this guy prioritizing sleep. I haven't done that in a long time.
Dude.
I would have cracked open a Monster and gotten my crap done, baby.
Dude, when I tell you that like it was a hard decision. But
it was just something that happened.
Anyways. Thank you for indulging me on that conversation. But
it's also worth mentioning that I have a Google Pixel, and whenever someone calls me that's not a number saved in my phone, I just click the screen call button because then I don't have to answer it. So I click screen call on Ian's girlfriend's number because I didn't have it saved.
Yep.
And I guess you thought it went to voicemail because you just hung up. You didn't. It was like, hey, please let me know what you need so that you could patch you through to the caller. And I guess you thought it was voicemail because you just hung up.
No, for that
and so
one.
then I was like, okay, but then you called me again. I was like, well, I guess it's a 225, so I answered it, and it was you. And I was like, I feel like Ian would know that the screen call robot is actually me.
Let me talk for myself for a second.
Like,
it was on. Her sister walked out initially and gave me their house phone, and then by the time I actually got a hold of my girlfriend when she walked out, then I got her cell phone. So I called on the house phone first, and I was like, if there's anything else, I was like, if there's any number that I want Ethan to contact me on, it's on my girlfriend's phone. That's a lot easier. And again, you can save it in your phone for future reference, whatever. So that way it's not. That was why I did that. So again, when I got it and I heard it was a voicemail, I was like, if nothing else, I was like, I'm not going to leave a message here. I don't want him to call back this number. Because again, this is a bad number to call back on anyways.
That's what I was saying. It's not like it wasn't a voicemail though, but it sounds just like a voicemail. I don't have my voicemail set up at all yet.
If you would have denied the second call on my girlfriend's phone, I definitely would have been like, hey, Sean, pick up the phone. Hey, please, Sean. Hey.
Because it's like, because whenever I do the screen, whenever I do the screen thing, it's just my assistant talking, and usually I just am like in my bed at 5 a.m. just looking at my phone, and like if words show up, then I'm like I click the answer button because every time it's a robot, they realize that this is a robot back, and they don't want to dual robot talk, so they just hang up, and I get put on the do not call list. It's awesome. But if words show up, I'm like, oh, someone's talking, I push it through.
Yeah.
That's why I like whenever you call a second time, I was like, oh, this must be human this time.
Yes. So anyways, let's continue on. I just wanted to tell that story. Thank you for indulging me for a second. But this week we watched...
We played drum. We watched Drums the movie.
We watched Drums
2, the movie.
It's called Whiplash.
I mean,
Whiplash,
but it's also
yeah.
Drums, the movie. That dude's got a really, really good circulation in his hands. He was bleeding all over that drum set.
Man.
Yeah.
Either he has really bad
veins.
Either he has really bad sticks or
great circulation.
really weak hands.
Yeah, he was just really bad.
Yeah.
He just had really weak paper thin
Wasn't
hands.
good enough.
Yeah. No, he's got really splintery sticks. You know?
I've seen some drummers, they've been able to nail it on the kit and never bled that much on some sticks.
Never bled at all. Like they've got like mad calluses or like those blisters.
That stage.
Yeah, right. They've got mad calluses or blisters, but like they're not bleeding. So this dude was a mad lad.
I know this movie is memed an awful lot, but I've never watched it in its entirety. And after seeing it, I see why the scenes are memed the way they are, because they're kind of funny in some respect. But the movie, if they're, yes, you're right. Let me go ahead and pull up his name.
J.K. Simmons.
That's his name?
Yeah.
That guy is so good at that role.
Plays Terrence Fletcher.
Jesus, smooth.
He does a great...
J.K. Simmons.
He does a great job.
This is why we call you the movie expert, because you can chuckle and just say someone's name and be like, oh, you mean J.K. Simmons?
I mean...
What was the guy in Aliens? The
Burke?
dad character? Burke. Burke was in this movie.
Like that.
In the first scene...
He looks so old. Who knew his son grew up to be not as shit?
I was going to say, his character is the dad character in the movie, and the first scene he's in with his son in the movie theater, I was like, I've seen this guy before, and I've seen him recently.
Yep.
And again, the way he was talking and his mannerisms, I was like, in my brain, I was associating him with like an evil character.
Something about you says company man to me.
And no, because I was like, so, and then I said out loud, I was like, I want to say we've watched a movie for the podcast recently with that guy in it, but I can't remember what it is. And then I sat there and he kind of sneered and said something, and I was like, Aliens.
That's him.
He's Burke. He's the guy.
I know that sneer anyway.
I was going to say the same thing. I know that sneer anywhere.
Yep.
I was like, the first thing that came to mind, I was like, he's trying to convince me of something, and I was like, I don't know. Anyways.
So,
survived an encounter with a xenomorph.
And now he's just out here.
Great.
Chilling out with his son.
Yeah, watching movies.
Trying to be a drummer.
With raisinets and his popcorn. Dude, who does that? Come on, man.
Yeah.
Also, describe the movie in 3 words, Dylan.
Bleeding sticks.
That's 2.
Bleeding sticks 2. Sorry, it's your turn.
Lots of bleeding sticks.
I already have mine. That's going to be great. Will it help if I throw a symbol at your head? Will that speed you up?
Like a pig.
Okay. My 3 were going to be a weak hand Luke.
Weak hand Luke.
Yeah, it's like cool hand Luke,
Oh my
except his
God.
hands are weak. So
weak hand Luke.
And also, who is your favorite character? There were only really 2. And then Dad.
Yep.
Oh man.
I'm gonna go with Nicole. Actually, you know
Right.
what? You know what, Nicole? Good job. Good on
The
her.
only normal person in the movie.
Good on her for being like, wow, no, you are kind of an a-hole. And then getting a different boyfriend. Good on you, Nicole.
Sat there and gave him a great definition of so what I'm hearing you say is, you can't fulfill your dreams because of me, and you think that I'm going to be...
At first, didn't like her. But after that, I was like, you know what, Nicole, stand up for yourself.
You know what? You're right. You deserve better, Nicole.
I didn't like her because he was like, we should go on a date, and she was like, go away from me. And I was like, and I wrote down in my notes, I wrote, heckin' oof, bitch Nicole over here.
Oh my God.
I was going to say...
Dude, she was like, no, get away from me.
Straight up, almost scared sounding. She was like, go away.
And
dude,
please get away from me.
Just get away from me.
I'd never talk to anyone again if someone did that to
Oh
me.
my gosh, dude.
100%.
Holy shit.
Traumatizing.
Man, my favorite insult of the movie, though.
He was like, yeah, sorry, I'm just...
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just
it doesn't help that this guy has the self-confidence of a peanut over here. And he's like, yeah, I agree. I should get away, lol. And just like, dude, come on, man.
My God.
My favorite insult of the movie, though, was whenever he's like, hey, what are you looking at? There's no heckin' Mars bar down there. Look at me. Dude, I was like, man.
Oh, man.
And I only had 3 notes, so I'm just going to finish my notes here. My last note was, wait, really? Semi-truck then banned. Oh, I ain't.
Nope.
The dude gets hit by a semi-truck, and then he just gets there. He's like, where are my sticks? And then goes to band. I'm like, dude, you're fiending.
My show.
Right? Like, oh my God.
It's just that important.
Mm. It's not.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Man, so if I can say something right at the top.
Can you?
The whole movie did a great job with color, shot composition, filming angles. The movie looked...
Look at that sweat on that drum set.
Dude,
why were they always so wet?
The movie looked beautiful from every angle multiple times, where it was like I said, the overall color of a scene you could really define. Like I said, just the focal lengths that they were at with like the crazy like focus that they could get was really nice. I loved all the shots, the crazy like handy cam stuff where he was like at a certain emotional state or whatever, or like it was just a really
I liked his drummer face. It was funny. Most are, but I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
So
if I recall, you said it looked like he's having a seizure.
No,
that was one point.
At one specific point that I said he looked like he was having a stroke. Yeah, because like he had like half of his face like contorted in a way the other half wasn't. So it just looked like he was having a stroke, and he was like seizing up a little bit trying to do the drums. And I was like, "Dude, look like he's having a stroke right now."
Yeah, man.
He honestly with
that's fighting through cramps. That is
with his blood pressure as high as it probably was. He might have been having a stroke too. We just don't know. He already got hit by a semi. Who knows? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Dropped a stick.
If there is
had to pick it up.
Yeah.
Picked it back up.
If there is one thing I can say from a musician standpoint, there's a few things about the movie that really kind of made my head kind of turn. Mm-hmm. Now, again, I don't know the classical scene. I don't know the jazz ensemble scene in New York, but I've heard from some people that it's not as crazy as that. This movie is not very accurate. Obviously, it's a depiction. It's a movie. So, again, I'm not going to hold it to any kind of...
Depends on the people. I'm sure no one's that extreme.
Yes, that's what I've heard. I've heard that it gets crazy and it's very competitive, but it's not that. Right. It's just like with most things. Obviously, it's dramatized for the movie, which I understand that. But there's just a few things, like as far as like musically concerned, that really kind of racked my brain. Like the whole... At least in my personal opinion, like, yes, you can be some kind of savant or some kind of crazy, like, music person, but, like, whenever he keeps, like, getting on to him about being on my tempo, I was like, that so unrealistic on so many levels. Like, there's a level of, like, it's one thing if, like, you can tell a little bit. Like, I can understand perfect pitch. Perfect pitch is different. But having, like, perfect tempo, I don't think that's actually, like, a real thing. Yeah. And to be able to distinguish perfect tempo to that minuscule of a degree where they didn't even get one full bar. They didn't even get a full measure in. He's like, your head. I was like, how do you know? You don't have a click. And there's no way physically that in your own brain you know exactly how fast double swing time is, man, just from memory. There's no way.
He just built different, dude.
No,
that was my biggest issue with the movie. Is the beginning of the movie. I continually, I didn't write it in my notes, but I should have. But like at the beginning, that movie felt like it took forever. So at the beginning, what felt like an hour of the movie, I'm like, I don't know who Baldy is, but I honestly don't care. Nobody, and I mean nobody. The damn president of the United States cannot walk in a room and act like he is that important, and everyone respect him. Nobody is that important. But this guy walks in, and everyone's like, oh freak, and then he's like insulting people, and everyone's like, yes sir. The only person who has that happen to him is freaking Gordon Ramsay, where he can say you're an idiot sandwich, and they're like, yes chef. He's the only man who can do that. Okay, I don't know who this guy is, right? Like,
he's the Gordon Ramsay of sticks.
Yeah, right. He's the Gordon Ramsay of music. Like Gordon Ramsay's the only man that I could akin it to, where he walks in, roasts everyone for doing bad, and then they're all like, "Thank you." Well, what?
Yes.
I mean, it's the same principle. You take that field seriously enough, you
No, I get it, but it's just...
I mean, that's like an expert walk. That's like Gordon Ramsay walking into the kitchen.
No, I get it. Up until I just literally just now made the connection with Gordon Ramsay, I couldn't think of anyone else, though, and I was just like, I don't get it. He walks in, and like everyone's like, dude, he's just another teacher. I don't care how important he is. No student would be like... But then I just thought of Gordon Ramsay, so maybe I'm wrong. Right? Never mind.
That's why they set you up with the first teacher first, whenever he's like in the school, and then Fletcher comes around, and it's totally different.
Yeah,
like it's a sudden change of atmosphere. That should be when his character, at least his like silhouette of his character, is established.
Yeah, I love how like even like the color of the room changes. Like whenever he goes from his room to like that first room that they were in.
Yeah,
it goes from a bright room to a more musical room.
Yeah, very
like
dark
darker
and somber. But like even
it's the transition from I'm just playing music to if you don't fucking do everything perfectly, you're fucking
I'm gonna throw a symbol in your face.
So like the whole premise, the backbone of the movie is pushing somebody past their point of comfort and possibly their understanding of music, I guess, to some degree, to make them one of the greats. But fundamentally, at its core, at least for me, as a musician that has been a musician for at least a decade or so, a large portion of music is fun.
Right.
And yes, I understand that, like I said, I can't speak.
There's two sides to
I
it.
can't speak for classical music. I can't speak for jazz music, but I would wager that, yes, you have to get pushed to go past that point of like what you'd feel like your comfort zone is. And yes, I understand, like he said before, the worst thing you could say is good job. And I get that, and I 100% understand that, because it's so much about being critical about those little things to become a really great musician.
Yeah. People aren't expecting a good job from you. They're expecting
excellence.
Something fucking
the
amazing.
best job.
But again, at the bottom line, you have to at least enjoy it. You have to at least have fun with it. And there's a point where this movie really depicts it like it sucks all the fun out of music. And it's like, that's not the point. It's like, yes, you can be really great at the drums. Yes, you can be fast. Yes, you can be the greatest drummer in the world. But if you don't have fun with it, you're not going to be that great.
Right. That's why his fun comes in at the end, where he pulls off that fucking solo.
Yes.
I'm still torn on the ending of the movie.
I get that. But there's a point, like I said, like for me, there's a disconnect of like, we got there.
At that point, he took control after he got set up. And
but my thing with the end is like, I don't know if I agree that his fun came in at the end. I feel like he just finally was able to prove himself, so he was satisfied. I still don't think that at any point he was having fun when he was doing this.
Come on.
Like, I think that it was a very much an I told you so. I'm better than you, eat my shorts.
Just to prove your point, he's sitting on the kit, and as he was playing against what he was wanting to do, he just said, F you.
Yeah.
Like, at his face. As just this is what I'm going to do, and you can't stop me kind of thing.
I don't think comeuppance came first, then he did what he wanted.
But what I'm saying is that in my mind prefaced it as, this is a get back at you type thing. That's what it felt like. Not like I'm going to have fun and play on the kit for a little while.
He played the song he knew just to get back at Fletcher. Then he did what he wanted.
Yeah. And that's why...
Okay, if I can say my emotions about what happened, I loved the way the movie broke down Fletcher.
Yeah.
I liked the fact that he was high and mighty. There was a moment where I can't remember what the kid's name was.
Sean something. You talking about the one that died?
Richard. No.
What, the drummer?
No. Yeah, the drummer, the lead character.
Andrew something.
Andrew
Neiman.
So Andrew knocked him down a peg, made him lose his job, finds him at this cafe or something.
Plays a nice bit of piano.
Exactly, plays some piano. And it really
slapping them keys.
It really makes you see, for a hot second, you're like, this is, and I said this out loud when we were watching the movie, this is where he's changed, you'd think. So, in my personal opinion, I was like, okay, so now we're deconstructing the enemy of the movie, and now we're making him a real person. And then so you get to see this this back and forth of, because I think the movie kind of describes, it's been a few months since that whole ordeal happened where he gets like, you're done, you're kicked out of the school or whatever. Right. And of course, Fletcher loses his place at the school or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed that moment where he's torn down and he's at this like almost what's the word I'm looking for?
Quite a low
vulnerable point. He's at this kind of vulnerable stage, you feel like. And I love that because I was like, now this is what I'm talking about, because this is where we can have growth. This is where we can have growth for both people. And you kind of sense that in some of the conversations they're having. Right. And then the conversation ends up ending with him saying like, hey.
And it was fake.
He's like, the drummer that I got ain't that great. I got you a ticket. You know, come in, be with me or whatever. And then you're like, okay, great. And so now, in my mind, what the movie has set up for me is this arch nemesis character, really bad guy, does a great job of making you really not like this guy as a person, understand where he's coming from to some degree, probably a little too far, but you understand him. And then now they deconstruct him and make him seem like now he's come back around full circle, and you're like, and now he's a good guy, or I guess 180, not full circle, sorry. He's changed his ways. He doesn't regret any of it, but he's still like, I understand. You know, you got to push people, and sometimes some people can't take it or whatever.
Which I'll give it that. I'll give the movie that. It got me.
Yeah.
That's a thing that I've mentioned that I don't like about movies, is that I don't feel like I get got very often. But it got me. I actually did believe that he was going to invite him to play drums, and he finally thought the guy was good, and then he messes him up by just playing a different song.
And so that was...
I'll give the movie that. It did get me, and I do appreciate that. So, I thought it was good. Whenever I was like, he said, I know it was you, and it was a different song, I was like, oh, snap.
So good.
I was like, oh, snap. Did we all just get got? I didn't really like that scene for other reasons, but I was like, did we all just get got? That was good. I think that was really well done.
So, that's what I'm talking about. For me, at least, that's where I lost it. That was like, so we have this moment where it's like, now we're making growth as people, and there's like this change happening, and you're like, I can almost feel for this Fletcher guy. And then the second they get there,
turns it right around.
He turns it right around, and he's still just as bad of a person. You're like, oh, and that's the part that I didn't like. So like the movie did this great job of like making you sort of try to feel for him, but then immediately like doubling back on the fact that he's just an asshole. And you're like, man, I couldn't believe it at first. I was like, they didn't do that. That's down low. That's rotten.
But
then no, but then nothing. Hold on.
You like the ending of this movie way too much, Dylan.
But shut up. I'll explain why.
Okay. I'm waiting for you to.
They, like I said, it's like this roller coaster of like or I guess not roller coaster. It's this large, overarching, like he's a bad guy, but then he's a good guy, but no, he's actually still a bad guy. But then they try to, at the end, by like him trying to like bring out at the start of this ensemble that they're doing, really tries to screw him over one last time as like one big F you at the end of it. And you're like, so he's still just as bad of a person, has no feelings, has no remorse, just brought him here. Because again, they preface this at the beginning. It's like, if you screw
he's a soulless creature.
Yes. If you screw up, everyone will realize it, because they always remember. And that sets the precedent for what happens. And he's like, he screws up, storms off the stage and says, guess you don't got it, or whatever, and walks off. And you can say that that's him trying to bring out the best part of him, no.
I want to hear why Dylan likes the ending of this movie so much now. I have yet to hear his opinion on this.
Go ahead.
I want to hear why you like it so much.
So,
other than the few things you've said already.
Fletcher is introduced he's like a drill instructor in a fucking orchestra.
100%.
At this aforementioned low point, his motivations are explained. He explains why he's so hard on everyone.
Yeah.
Because he is trying to wring out the talent from anyone and everyone in this fucking band.
It's the line he says where he says like the next whoever wouldn't give up.
Yes.
He's like, there's no such thing as...
That's
in his character's mind, there's no such thing as crossing the line, which is why you think that he did that. I get where you're coming from now, that you just made it click in my head, but also I still don't see it.
But for me,
I'm sure he's a piece of shit. But
I'm
not denying that.
In that case, I guess we agree.
But it fucking worked.
No,
it worked.
So that's the thing. Is like that's what I'm talking about from at least from a musical standpoint. Is like you can say that. You can say, like, again, his motivation is like you have to wring out the talent. Like, again, you have to, the next blank wouldn't give up. It's like, you're right, but you as a person are so discouraging and so heartless that even if someone had the drive and motivation, you would crush it out of them. That's where I'm coming from as a musician. It's like you can say that as far as like an athlete probably pushing somebody, or like military, where it's like where that's like a physical.
The military's
thing.
worse.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, but what I'm saying is this is an artistic, creative, passion-driven art. And you are doing a really great job of making anybody that could be very talented, making them very discouraged to even try to continue.
Maybe the next best that there ever was won't give up, but the next almost best would give up, is the thing. It's like the next talent might give up, but the next actual best, maybe he wouldn't.
I can understand, I can understand being hard on somebody and pushing them, but there is a point of pushing too far where now you're discouraging anybody from even wanting to touch it. The main character picks up his drum set and puts it in a closet, and it's like, because that's how discouraged he was. Mm-hmm. And again, I said, they circle back around to that whole like they wouldn't give up. You're right, but again, there's a point where it's like you have to find that line. And again,
I think the movie was trying to convey that too, because he put the drums up.
That's why in that cafe where they're having that conversation, is like, don't you think there's a line? Don't you think there's like? I love that, because I was like, because he's right. There is a fine line between like pushing somebody and then like discouraging them from even continuing.
I think the movie did a decent job at conveying both sides. Even though the ending makes it seem like they're for the drill instructor guy, I think the movie conveyed both sides pretty well.
If you want to be great, if you want to be really great, that's why you just gotta say fuck you. I'm gonna be great.
Yeah,
you just push past the point of discouragement and just realize, fuck it, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep practicing.
You're right. Be great. You're right. You're great.
And he does it.
But what I'm saying is not without giving up first, because again, and also like that's what I'm saying is like he got there, but barely.
Right.
Because the problem is, again, like he also got...
And also at what cost?
Because again, like there's a point where it's like, you can tell, like the movie didn't make it feel like Fletcher was trying to push him to get better at that last minute. He was just trying to one-up him on, like, you got my job, you got me fired, and so I'm going to humiliate you in front of everyone that is anybody that needs to, like, that you want to be a musician. All these people out here are going to make it for you.
That's what the last
I'm going to humiliate you.
Subjective.
I'm going to humiliate you.
I think that it can be looked at that way because he acts like it too. Whenever he walks him off, he doesn't. Every other time that he pushed him out the room, there was this part of him that you could see. He's like, I'm getting him to come back.
Right.
But that last scene, it was like, no, I'm trying to push him off the stage, and he came back against it.
He came back.
That last scene, it's like, no, I think that he was just being a heartless asshole. That last scene,
he came back, sat at the kid, and of course starts to like. Of course, Fletcher looks at him and is like, what are you doing, or whatever. And then he starts playing, and he's like, what are you doing? Like, he's not trying to be like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Fight through it. Like, there was none of that. It was just like a get off my stage kind of thing. It's like
that
what it felt
comes
like.
Later, though.
But this is what I'm talking about. Because now we've gone back up the slope. He's still just an asshole. So now we all hate him again, because now he's just a heartless, spineless nobody. Then... As his solo's going, he's like, he actually has chops. Oh my God.
He did it.
No, he did it. He's like, then he tries to...
He's nice again.
He tries to encourage him. But for me, it's too far gone. We've already gone from hating him to like sort of liking him to really, really hating him, because again, we just realized that after all that development, he still is just an asshole. Then I'm like, you've lost it for me. The fact that he's trying to encourage him and like bring it out of him, I'm like, you've lost it, guy. Just get out of here. I'm playing here and you're distracting me. Get out of my way. Is what it should. That's what it should have felt like.
That's what it is.
No.
And I thought
he looked at him with that smile of like, that's what I'm talking about. I'm trying to impress you. Still, is what it felt like, in my personal opinion.
Well, no, I mean, he may have been, but at that point,
I'm passionate about it because, like I said, this is hurtful towards. what I think in like a musical sense, I don't like it. I don't like that aspect of it. I felt like it was too far. It gives the wrong mindset, I think, as far as like music is concerned, in my personal opinion. Like I said, there is a fine line between like pushing someone to be a better musician and then just being a heartless bastard.
I don't know. I don't think the movie conveys that about like all of music, though. I think that this is conveying a different kind of story and has different lessons for people. As a musician, I knew that you would think differently about this movie than I did. I know, and I knew that, but like still, I didn't. But either way, I thought I was passionate about the ending of the movie. I didn't know if I liked it or didn't like it. I liked the fact that it was a different ending, but I didn't like that it was a cliffhanger. I liked the fact that the guy stood up to the bad guy, but also didn't like that the bad guy's trying to come back and be cool again. Seemed kind of like a sleazeball. This ending, I'm really torn on it. I didn't know if I like it or dislike it, but I will give them that not only did they get me, but also they confused me on the ending. And I think it was a well-made movie.
I enjoyed the movie, and I thought it was a great watch. All up until the ending. Then it kind of lost me. I was like, man, I love that he had his moment. I love that he had his time to shine. But the fact that they kind of like bounce back and forth between Fletcher being a bad guy, good guy, and it's kind of ambiguous kind of when they try to make it seem like at the end that they're kind of okay now, sort of is what it felt like. That was where I was like, I don't know.
That's what I like about him.
I can tell. I can tell.
He's like, because he's almost unreadable. You don't know if he's rooting for you on the inside or if he's just trying to get back at you.
I knew that character in the archetype is like right up your alley, so I knew I knew regardless you're gonna like him. But for me, as like I said, I don't know. I enjoy making art. I enjoy making music. And like 75% of it is having fun while you're doing it. And if you have someone that's just sucking all the soul out of it, especially jazz, like that was the whole point of jazz, is to like have fun and be creative and wild and different and break all the rules. And you got this guy here that's just like sucking all the soul and the fun out of jazz. You're just like, man, like, I know you're, and again, he sits, like I said, that's why I think I love that moment where he's at the table and he's like, I tried so hard to have my next great, to have the great. And I was like, I can tell you why. Because you go too far. There's a point where like there's this balance of like you have to be hard. And because I've had students in music before, you have to push them. You have to look at them and say, you're not doing that great. You got to do better. You got to practice harder. You've got to get better at X, Y, Z.
Right.
You have, that's just something you have to do as a teacher. That I've been there before. But at the same time, you also have to look at somebody as a person and say, your hard work is making a difference.
Right.
You're doing a great job. And no drop of positivity came out of Fletcher's mouth, except for like the first like maybe 20 minutes of the movie where he was like kind of being nice to him before he was a absolute dick to him.
Right. Going easy on him.
Yeah, exactly.
To start with.
He was like making it real soft and like making him feel warm and comfortable in there before he was just like,
right, just try again.
Gosh dang it, dude. I was so livid. I was like, man,
that's so good.
I hate it. But I guess that's also a great job. They did a great job as a movie of writing his character. But I will say, I have this very passionate feeling about this because again, like I said, love music to my core.
I think Crazy Pants was a very well written character.
But
very
that character Fletcher, the actor did a great job.
Oh yes.
At that too.
Man, man, you want to talk about facial like that subtext, the emotion.
Yeah, that's all
conveying that. Oh man, making me believe it.
J.K. Simmons is a scary man with no hair.
Yes.
I'm too used to seeing him in the Spider-Man movies.
Oh yeah.
Whenever he's just an angry
Peter Parker, he plays such a hard man.
He does it well.
Oh, it's so good.
That's the thing is I think that was a really well. He's up there, you know. With like my favorite characters that are like well done, well acted, well written. Like I said, the subtext where it's like you can look at him and it's like you really like his character is designed around you not understanding him, but also like you kind of understand him. So like he's not really lying whenever he's nice in that scene. Like no, take your time, do it again. He's not really lying.
You understand either side of it. You just don't know which one he's on.
You're like. You believe it. He's actually being nice. He's like, no, take your time. He means that. He does. But then whenever he finally does flip, he's like, no, he flipped now, right? No, he'll be cool sometimes, but now he flipped. Now he's crazy pants mode. Yeah. But don't worry, he'll go back to calm mode later. Don't worry. But it was just, I think it was a really well done character.
There's like so many little things like they had talked about with, that trumpet player, whatever his name was. He was like I said, there's so many little moments like that make you feel for this guy. But then at the same time, you're like, man, I hate this guy so much. Mm-hmm. So he's a really good like villain character. But like I said, just like that little roller coaster at the end there, I was like, I felt so good after that moment where they're sitting there in the cafe or whatever. I'm calling it a cafe. I think it's a restaurant or a bar or something. And they have that moment of like this conversation. Oh man, I loved that moment because I was like, this is what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Our good guy and our bad guy is sitting here on the same level.
Simultaneously genuine and conniving at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so messy. I'm like, anyways, we've been going on for too long. I thought it was an enjoyable movie. I appreciated it. It was very well made.
Yeah, I would agree.
Good.
Anyways, thank you so much for listening, everybody. Thank you for listening to me at least ramble for a little bit and get all of my feelings. I appreciate you guys sticking around and tuning in.
Hey, what are we listening to next week, guys?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I have a list. So
I think
we normally talk about this, but
I think we need to talk about this after. Anyways, if you want to listen, if you want to find us on anything on the internet, I can't think straight right now. My words are.
We got a link tree. Find it from there.
Linktree /Ian Wolf. It has our Spotify. It has our Apple Podcast, Google Podcast. You can just type in the Aftermath and find us there, or our social media links. And until next week, don't have too much fun without me, okay?
Don't.
Or do. What am I going to do? Stop you?
We'll know if you do.
Oh.
Bye-bye.